Nemesis has caught up with Nigeria Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as Boko Haram wipes away Nigerian army in Borno base. Over 200 men confirmed dead, and several others sustained serious injuries. Boko Haram and Islamic State of West Africa Province, a deadly terrorists group in northern part of Nigeria, launched a devastating attack on a Nigeria military barracks in Borno State, reportedly killing numerous soldiers and destroying military vehicles and buildings during a 2-hour assault. The attack highlights the insecurity in Nigeria, with military bases being overrun. This raises concerns about the safety of civilians if the military itself is vulnerable. A critic have criticized the Nigerian leadership for failing to address insecurity and for allegedly integrating former Boko Haram members into the military. He advocates for a referendum, arguing that regions should have the right to self-determination, especially the northern region that allegedly seeks an Islamic state. Over 50 million people have been displaced by Boko Haram's insurgency, a figure compared to the populations of multiple small nations combined. He accuses international sponsors and neo-colonial influences of manipulating African leaders, exacerbating Nigeria's issues. Nigeria is likened to a blind tribe, resistant to change or innovation, silencing reformers and perpetuating ignorance. Claims are made that Nigerian leaders are complicit, blind to solutions, and manipulated by foreign powers due to personal vulnerabilities. He urges the peaceful disintegration of Nigeria into regions with self-governance to end systemic failures and insecurity. On a quiet Saturday, January 4, 2025, while many were still shaking off the holiday spirit and easing into the new year, a chilling reality unfolded in Borno State, Nigeria. It was not the kind of news anyone wants to hear, especially at the start of a new chapter. But this story, this tragedy, was far too grave to ignore. Over 200 soldiers of the Nigerian army lost their lives in a gruesome attack orchestrated by the combined forces of Boko Haram and the Islamic State of West Africa Province. It was not just another incident in the decades-long insurgency. It was an outright massacre, and it left the entire nation grappling with questions that seemed impossible to answer. The events took place in Damasak, a town located in the northern part of Borno State. Damasak has always been a place of strategic importance. Sitting near the Nigerian border with Niger, it has seen more than its fair share of violence over the years. This time, however, the assault was unlike anything the people of the region had seen before. The attack began under the cover of darkness, as Boko Haram and Islamic State of West Africa Province fighters descended upon a forward operating base housing Nigerian troops. The attackers came in droves, armed with sophisticated weapons and a clear plan to wreak havoc. For 2 agonizing hours, the base was under siege. Imagine the chaos, the sounds of gunfire ringing out in the night, the cries for help, the frantic attempts to mount a defense. The soldiers, despite their training and bravery, were caught off guard. The attackers seemed to know exactly where to strike, destroying vehicles, burning down buildings, and leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. By the time reinforcements arrived, the damage was done. Over 200 soldiers lay dead, their lives brutally cut short. Hundreds more were missing or injured, and the base itself was left in ruins. When the news broke, it hit like a punch to the gut. Over the years, Nigerians have grown somewhat accustomed to hearing about attacks in the northeastern region. It's a sad reality that the insurgency has normalized violence to some extent. But this was different. This was a military base, a supposed fortress of safety and strength. If the Nigerian army, with all its resources and training, could be so thoroughly defeated, what hope was there for ordinary citizens? President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who had been in office for less than a year, found himself at the center of a storm. The criticism came swiftly and harshly. People demanded answers. How could such a breach happen? Why was the military seemingly so ill-prepared to defend itself? And perhaps most importantly, what was being done to prevent such tragedies in the future? Alongside President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, General Christopher Musa, the Chief of Defense Staff, also faced intense scrutiny. The questions were relentless, and the answers, when they came, felt insufficient. To understand the gravity of this tragedy, it's essential to look at the broader context. Boko Haram has been a thorn in Nigeria's side for over a decade. The group's name, which translates to "Western education is forbidden," reveals its ideology. Since its inception, Boko Haram has waged a relentless war against the Nigerian state, targeting schools, villages, and even government institutions. In recent years, the group has splintered, giving rise to the Islamic State of West Africa province, a faction that has proven to be just as deadly, if not more so. The insurgency has displaced over 50 million people, leaving countless families without homes, livelihoods, or a sense of security. Imagine that for a moment, 50 million lives uprooted. That's more than the entire population of several countries combined. It's a staggering number, and it's a testament to the scale of the crisis. In towns like Damasak, life has become a constant battle for survival. The people live in fear, knowing that at any moment their lives could be upended by an attack. One of the most controversial aspects of Nigeria's approach to the insurgency has been its reintegration program for so-called repentant Boko Haram members. The idea, in theory, is to offer these individuals a chance to reintegrate into society, to abandon their violent ways and become productive members of their communities. In practice, however, the program has faced intense criticism. Many Nigerians see it as a slap in the face to the victims of Boko Haram's atrocities. How can a government forgive and even reward those who have caused so much pain and suffering? And what does it say to the soldiers who risk their lives fighting these insurgents? In the wake of the attack, these questions took on a new urgency. Critics argued that the reintegration program was not only ineffective, but dangerous. They pointed to reports that some repentant Boko Haram members had rejoined the insurgency, using their newfound knowledge to launch even more devastating attacks. It's a cycle that feels impossible to break, and it's one that has left many Nigerians feeling disillusioned and angry. But the criticism didn't stop there. Many also questioned the government's allocation of resources. Billions of naira are spent on defense each year, yet the military continues to struggle. Soldiers often complain of inadequate equipment, poor living conditions, and delayed salaries. It's a stark contrast to the lavish lifestyles of some government officials, and it's a disparity that has not gone unnoticed. As the nation mourned the loss of its soldiers, debates raged on about the way forward. Some called for a complete overhaul of the military, arguing that corruption and inefficiency had rendered it ineffective. Others suggested that Nigeria needed to seek more international support, perhaps even inviting foreign troops to assist in the fight against Boko Haram and the Islamic State of West Africa province. It's a controversial idea, one that raises questions about sovereignty and pride. But for many, it's a price worth paying if it means an end to the bloodshed. In the midst of all this, there were also calls for self-determination. Some voices, particularly from the southern regions of Nigeria, argued that the country's diverse populations might be better off going their separate ways. If the northern region wants an Islamic state, let them have it, they said. Just let the rest of us live in peace. It's a sentiment that has been growing in recent years, fueled by frustrations with the government's inability to address the nation's challenges. At the heart of all these debates, however, is a deeper issue: the value of human life. Over 200 soldiers lost their lives in the Damasak attack. They were fathers, brothers, sons, and friends. They had dreams, aspirations, and loved ones who will now have to carry on without them. It's easy to get lost in the numbers, to see the death toll as just another statistic. But behind each number is a story, a life that mattered, One can't help but wonder about the families of those soldiers. What was it like for them to receive that devastating news? To hear that their loved ones had made the ultimate sacrifice in service of their country? It's a pain that's hard to imagine, a grief that will take a lifetime to heal, if it ever does. As Nigerians grappled with the tragedy, many turned to faith for solace. Churches, mosques, and community centers became gathering places for prayers and vigils. People lit candles, sang hymns, and offered words of comfort to one another. In times of darkness, faith has always been a source of strength for Nigerians, a way to find hope even when it feels like all is lost. But faith alone won't solve the problems that led to this tragedy. There's a need for action, for real, tangible change. The government must take a hard look at its strategies and policies. It must address the root causes of the insurgency, from poverty and unemployment to corruption and poor governance. It's a monumental task, one that will require courage, determination, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. The Damasak attack was a wake-up call, a reminder that the fight against Boko Haram and the Islamic State of West Africa province is far from over. It's a fight that will require not just military might, but also unity, resilience, and a commitment to building a better future. For the soldiers who gave their lives, for the families they left behind, and for the millions of Nigerians who continue to live in fear, we owe it to them to keep pushing forward. Over the years, similar attacks have occurred, and each time the nation reacts with shock and outrage, only for the cycle to repeat itself. It's as if Nigeria is caught in a vicious loop, unable to break free. Why? What is holding us back? Why are we blind to the solutions that seem so obvious? Some argue that the root of the problem lies in corruption and external manipulation. They point to the so-called international sponsors of terrorism, accusing them of fueling the conflict for their own gain. Others highlight the role of neo-colonial influences, suggesting that foreign powers have a vested interest in keeping Nigeria divided and unstable. These are heavy accusations, but they resonate with a populace that has seen too much suffering and too little progress. The critic I mentioned earlier made another poignant observation. He likened Nigeria's plight to that of a pawn in a larger game, a game where leaders are often compromised by their own vulnerabilities. He claimed that many African leaders, including those in Nigeria, are manipulated by foreign powers who exploit their weaknesses for political and economic gain. Whether it's skeletons in their closets or financial entanglements, these leaders find themselves unable to act in the best interests of their people. So where does that leave us? Are we doomed to remain in this state of perpetual crisis? Or can we find a way to reclaim our vision, to step out of the darkness and into the light?
There are a lot of things going on in Nigeria, but we are going to look into the insecurity situation as usual. The Boko Haram has defeated Nigerian army, killing lots of Nigerian army that up to now, as at the time of this report, they have not been able to ascertain the number of soldiers that died today as I speak to you in Borno State. What happened? The Boko Haram members invaded Nigerian military barrack. Now, this is my fear. If a barrack, Nigerian military barrack, could be invaded, could be attacked, and soldiers being wiped away like flies, what is the fate of civilians in Nigeria? Long time before now, there have been a lot of calls for referendum for disintegration of Nigeria, but a lot of people who have not been victim of Nigeria system don't seem to understand what we talk about. And when you are seeing all these things happening, that people in the rural area can no longer go to their farms, people in the metropolis, they are being faced with all kind of threats. Now, people who are in the war front, in their barracks, this is not that Nigerian army, attacked Boko Haram and they killed them. This is not that they ambushed them in the bush. This is not all about a mission case. This is all about attacking a military barrack. Nigeria is not in charge of this geographical area. No, terrorists are in charge of Nigeria. And that is to bring you to the notice. Yesterday in Qatar, the Qatar journalist asked the CDS Musa, why is it that for 10 years the government have not been able to defeat Boko Haram? CDS Musa did not tell Qatar journalists that someone in Nigeria there formed Boko Haram, that Boko Haram was formed in Nigeria. CDS Musa told the journalists that the international communities, it is international sponsored terrorism. Musa lied. Yeah, he lied. Because we all are here when Boko Haram was formed in Borno State by Andemodo Sheriff. Sheriff denied it at the time, said Kashim Shettima does that. I don't know. It was complicated. It was a talk of national television for good 1 year, discussing who formed Boko Haram. So I am surprised to see that CDS Musa went to Qatar and said that they don't know. They don't know. We are still living in illusion. We are still living in falsehood. And when we are ready, we'll wake up and think about how to divide this nation for every region to have their own personal security, because this is an infiltration. That insecurity in other part of the country is now being infiltrated to almost the whole part of the country, making it holistic. Now, the issue here is this. What did Boko Haram want? What they want is simple. They want an Islamic state. Then conduct a referendum. If you claim that these people are Nigeria because you are inducting them into Nigerian military, you are putting them into the Nigerian armed forces. So conduct a referendum in the north. If they win, let them have their own Sharia country. What we want in Nigeria right now is the ability of people to decide. Enough people have died, and we cannot continue to tolerate or condone the death of innocent people who don't know anything about this. Now, let's look into what transpired today. Sahara reporters published that Boko Haram attacks Nigeria army base in Borno, killed several soldiers, burned military vehicles. This is like a conventional warfare. The war is going on. The war knows. But this is what they are hiding from you. So these people are collecting tax from the civilians. They are doing everything. They already have their own government. And they are going to barracks upon barracks, wiping away the Nigerian army. And the Nigerian government we also sent huge number of army soldiers to the south, south for Oye bunker and all those things, something that they can solve through dialogue and all those things. They will send soldiers to go and form, checkpoints in the southeast, because of the issue of agitation, that they can sit down and discuss and solve the problem. Now, the articles was written just as the thing was happening today. And it reads that the Boko Haram and Islamic State West African Province ISWAP terrorists have killed a yet to be confirmed number of Nigerian soldiers, with many still missing following an attack on a forward operation base in the Damboa local government area of Borno State. Now the article continues. According to the security sources, the incident occurred on Saturday, January 4, 2025. The sources added that the terrorists razed many buildings and military operational vehicles during the attack that lasted over 2 hours. I am sorry to say this out of context. Sometimes if we call Nigeria an animal kingdom, people would say you are not patriotic. In Nigeria military base, Boko Haram took hostage for 2 hours. No efforts, nothing whatsoever, and you say the place is a sovereign entity. Do you know what is called sovereign entity? Sovereign entity. Do you know what is called sovereign entity? That attack took place for 2 hours. Efforts could not respond for 2 hours. A Nigerian military base, no emergency response, nothing whatsoever. And we are crying that the thing happened today because it was made known today. It happened on Saturday. But we are reporting it today because nobody knew. And such things has been happening consistently. Why do we continue to lie ourselves? Now, 25 Task Force BDE was attacked during the weekend with so many casualties. So far, we have recovered over 7 bodies, a source told Sahara reporters on Monday, that is today. The terror group invaded the camp FOB Sabogiri around 4 a.m. on Saturday using various weapons. Since the death of JAS leader Abubakar Shekau, ISWAP has been consolidating its grip in locations around Lake Chad. The sect's membership has swollen with the defection of hundreds of Boko Haram fighters. The Nigerian army says it is committed to wiping out the terrorism from the country. But we don't know how many years they are going to use, okay? And they should, instead of fighting the Boko Haram, they should go after their sponsor, or they should finally give them what they want and divide the country. Now this last paragraph says in the article, that the terror group has killed many people and displaced millions of individuals, mainly in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe. And yesterday, the Al Jazeera revealed to us that the people they displaced that have been affected is 50 million people. 50 million people is like the population of some countries, up to 10 countries in the world. Some countries, their population is not up to 50 million. I mean 10 countries like Luxembourg, Israel, Vatican City, San Marino, Monaco. So many countries that are small countries. If you combine 10 countries together, it's not up to 50 million people for you to understand the gravity of what is happening. Now, this is my own point of view. We need to think like human beings. We need to think twice. You see, Nigeria is like the story of the blind tribe. The story of the blind tribe is a story that anytime I'm sharing it with people, I shed tears. Now, this is the story of the blind tribe. It's important you listen to this story. It is going to change the way you think, okay? Now, there was a scientist who is a researcher, and he was doing research and he traveled far to a blind tribe. A blind tribe is a community, it's an indigenous people where no one sees. All of them are blind and they are comfortable in their situation. They are comfortable in their blindness. They don't see anything. So they think that that is the way the world is, that nobody sees. Now the scientists came among them and started studying them by living with them to know what transpired. Why is it that all these people are blind and they are comfortable in their blindness? Not many days hence, the scientists discovered that there is an ant that used to bite them from after they delivered them with sight. From 2 months to 6 months, the ant will bite them and they will go blind. And when they will grow old, they will not remember that there was a time they saw. They will think that that is the way the life is. Now, the scientists now want to bring a solution to this blind tribe so that they could see. What did he do? Before he started going, before he went out for the solution of the problem, he fell in love with a lady there, and he went to meet the tribe's head and told the tribe's head, there is a girl here, I am in love with her and I want to marry her. At that point, everyone in the tribe started suspecting him, because in the morning, the scientists will tell them that the sun has risen. In the evening, he will tell them that the day is about to get black, to the darkness of the night. The following day, he will tell them that there is a beach close to your area. So these people are saying, what do you mean by sunrise? What do you mean by beach? Because we don't see. Does it mean you are different from us? If you are different from us and you say you want to marry our daughter, we can't condone that. You can't go and look for a solution. We are okay like this. You can't be among us. You can't marry our daughter and you can't lead us. Unless you pluck out your 2 eyes and be like us, we can live together in blindness. So, the scientists could not withstand that, because they told him that if you do not plug your eyes and be like us, if we discover any angle you are by this time tomorrow or at any time from now, we are going to kill you. And that was how the scientists left. Now, the blind tribe, my people, is this nation, Nigeria. Nigeria is like the blind tribe. Now, God have sent the scientists who is like a messiah to save the country. But they came, they were killed. They were chased out. They were imprisoned. The blind tribe, they don't see and they don't want to see. It is dangerous for you to see in the blind tribe. It is very, very dangerous for you to see in the blind tribe. A lot of people came, what they saw, they had the solution. The fellas, Sarawiwos, the Nnamdi Kanos, and a lot of them, the Farotimi, they don't want to hear them. They are saying, no, you are talking about sun, star. We don't know sun, we don't know star. We don't want, you have to be like us before you can stay with us. That is the situation we have in Nigeria today. It is dangerous to see in a blind tribe. Nigeria is a blind tribe. Anybody that sees, they will ask the person, knock out that eye, meaning let us silence you. And if you refuse to be silenced, if you refuse to knock out your eyes, it's either you flee out of the country and run far, or they will kill you. Anytime I remember the story of the blind tribe, I shed tears, because that is just what is happening in our country. Tell me, On what base would someone who from Boko Haram still be living comfortably and government is still paying him? On what basis? On what basis can you tell me that you don't know who is sponsoring Boko Haram? On what basis? What is going on? This is all about the story of the Blight tribe. They killed their people. They killed their Messiah. Now, it is very dangerous because these people don't know anything about sun. They don't see. And they don't want to accept anyone that sees. So anytime you are seeing what they are not seeing, you become a threat. They will kill you. Anytime we say or we reveal what is the solution of our place, people who don't see will tell you, keep quiet, it's not possible. You can't do this. You must go away. We must do this. We must do that. They kill their prophets. They kill their messiahs. They kill their scientists. They do all sort of things. A whole Nigeria, University of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Oka, or is that University of Nsukka, where they stopped chemical engineering because people were inventing so many things. Even atomic bomb was at a time, I don't know, was produced there. Getting to the finish, they stop it. People produce, literally everything you could see and you have never seen in the world before there. But they kill their own. They say you are not qualified. You are not qualified to tell us the real solution. And now people are dying. People are dying of ignorance because we are living in a blind tribe. Nobody wants to hear you speak because you see and they don't see, they are blind. Now in the blind tribe, they have the head of the blind tribe. So it doesn't matter if you are a president, you are a governor. If you are blind, you are the governor of the blind tribe. If you are a president of the blind people, you are also blind, you are as the president of the blind people. Even though you are a lawyer, you are a senior advocate of Nigeria, even though you are, no matter whom you are, since you are blind as the leader of the blind tribe, you don't know. You could be a professor, but you are blind professor because you are living in a blind tribe. The blind tribe is dangerous. The blind tribe kills its people. The blind tribe is something that is making Africa not to progress. But who put the blindness? Who is that ant that is biting people? So that as they are growing out, they will see that this is the way life is. Everybody's supposed to be blind. Nobody's supposed to see. Number one is your curriculum, what you are being taught. Number two is the neo-colonist. Those people you think that you gain independent from them. No independent, nothing. Absolutely nothing like independent. We all are stick together in bondage under them. They manipulate you. They ask you to kill your people. They control what happens in your country. They control who loot, who doesn't loot. They use the threat of your vulnerability as a president to rip you of everything that is resources from the nature, like natural resources, oil, gold, uranium. They rip it away from your country. Why? Because there is a skeleton in your cupboard. Almost the whole African leader present today, they have a case in abroad. Go and fact check me. Most of them have case in abroad. So they use that to manipulate them. America told Nigerians that their president is a CIA asset. They are still using him, and it is obvious. So what do you understand about the story of the blind tribe? My mission is to make sure I emancipate people. I want people to reason beyond their blindness. I know you have been blind for long because you might not understand what I speak anytime I talk about the disintegration of Nigeria and why we should go away in peace. You don't understand because you are still living in the blind tribe. But how many people will die before we discover this? Soldiers are dying every day. In other words, no civilian is safe in Nigeria. No civilian is safe. If Boko Haram could enter, into Nigeria barrack and kill them, are you going to tell me that there is any civilian that is safe? You are not safe. You are in bondage. You are in danger.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.